So there you have it. The second college football playoff rankings of the 2023 season are out for us to break down, unpack, give our critiques, give our support for the rankings. Did they get it right? Well, we'll unpack it right now. First things first, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. College football and only college football every single day of the year. We appreciate y'all in advance for being dialed in. At number 6, you got Oregon. And Oregon's going to be a team that probably makes their move if they're going to jump into the top 4 a little bit later. Like, the good news for Oregon, they control their own destiny. The Big 12 threw them a bone. You will not have an undefeated conference champion. The SEC could have an undefeated conference champion. The ACC could have an undefeated conference champion. The Big 10 could have an undefeated conference champion. The Pac-12 could have an undefeated conference champion, except for the fact that if Oregon runs the table, gets to the Pac-12 title game, and beats Washington, well, then they will be the representative from the Pac-12 and not Washington. They'll be a one-loss Washington team that would be, in my opinion, on the outside looking in. So, as of right now, Oregon sitting pretty. Handle business, keep a good thing going, and you'll find your way into the top 4. Next, we got Washington. So Washington, the good news for them is you got Ohio State and Michigan that are going to play each other. So one of those will not be a conference champion, probably falling out of the top 4 whenever they play each other. And if Washington handles business, they're going to be in the dance. An undefeated Pac-12 champion is not getting left out for the sheer fact of where the college football landscape is right now. The other part of that is if you beat Utah and Oregon State, both left on your schedule, and you're hoping and praying they're both ranked wins for you when you end up beating them, if you end up beating them, that would potentially be 4 ranked wins plus a 5th ranked win over likely Oregon in the Pac-12 title game. 5 ranked wins plus 2 top 10 wins, both coming against Oregon. Washington, handle business. Don't worry where you are in the college football playoff landscape at this point in time. Handle business. You'll be in there when it comes to Selection Sunday. And then we got Florida State. The luxury for Florida State is that the number to the right of your logo is substantially more important at this point in time than the number to the left of your logo. Don't worry about the ranking. Same thing with Washington. Don't worry about the ranking. If you win out, you will be in the dance. There's no other way to put it. They've had a great resume to this point in the year, did a lot of their work early with a top 5 win, a neutral site over LSU, if you're freezing that win, had a ranked win over Duke. The next ranked win, likely for Florida State, won't come until the ACC title, and you would project them to probably play Louisville. The main thing is the main thing for Florida State. Give them no reason to say anything about you in that room with the committee that would leave you outside of the top 4 when the dust settles on Selection Sunday. So no surprise here with Florida State where they're ranked. Keeping a good thing rolling. The Noles have complete control of their destiny. Now, at number 3, we got Michigan. And Michigan, they're ranked where they are in that top 4 based on how dominant they've been. No reason to drop them. They were dominant yet again over Purdue. The season starts now for Michigan. We know that. The college football public knows that. The rest of the good folks in Ann Arbor, they know that. Like, you got to go to State College this weekend, and you start to build the resume. So if you can beat Penn State, I mean, we could see them climb up, but at number 3 right now, we all understand it's a crash course to that game in Ann Arbor against Ohio State. And if it's all about dominance for where they were ranked last week, I think having them at 3 again this week makes all the sense in the world. I don't see a way that you could drop them after that throttling of Purdue. Now, at number 2, you got Georgia. And Georgia right now, like it is career fair time. It is time to build the resume. They got a big win over Missouri at home, a top 15 Missouri, a good football team Missouri. There's nothing fraudulent about that team. Now you got a stretch where you play Ole Miss this weekend in Athens, top 10 Ole Miss, and then you likely will play a ranked Tennessee team at their spot. It's not likely they're going to be playing them. It's certain they're playing them, but where Tennessee is ranked is the thing that you're probably keeping a close eye on if you're Georgia. I mean, I think the same thing is true for Georgia as it is the rest of these undefeated teams. You just keep on going forward, keep on throttling forward, and you're going to be there on Selection Sunday in that top 4. Now, for Georgia, the question probably a lot of people have now is, well, can they find their way to be number 1? Can Georgia eventually take that top spot from Ohio State, who we'll talk about here in a second? I think it's possible. I think to do that, you would need to really have some style points. I think you would need to be convincing in the SEC title game. I think you need to be convincing this weekend. Needless to say, you have to be undefeated. But I wouldn't worry so much about being number 1 this week or number 2 next week or whatever it ends up being. Like, keep the main thing. And I'll say this too. We said it last week. The same thing is true right now. I think Kirby Smart, having him at number 2, a little bit of ammunition, all that he needs to keep on pushing that thing forward. I think he's fine with them being number 2. I don't think he's concerned about that in the slightest. Now, number one, Ohio State, I don't know how you drop them. Yes, they looked shaky at times against Rutgers. That's fine. You're down at half. So what? Big Whoop ended up throttling and ended up doing what they were supposed to do in the second half of that game. Still the best resume in college football. No way around it. 2 top 10 wins, one at Notre Dame, one at their house against Penn State, a good Penn State football team. Crash course to Michigan. Same thing we said about the Wolverines is true about the Buckeyes. It all comes down to that day, Thanksgiving weekend, where you play in Ann Arbor for a chance to punch your ticket likely to the Big Ten title game and a chance to more or less have the road pretty clear to the college football playoff. So Ohio State, the thing we got to make sure we talk about with them is let's make sure we're guarded against the snapshot that we think Ohio State should be in our mind versus what they are in reality. And we talk about it a lot on this show. When it comes to Ohio State, they're not the Ohio State of old, and that's fine. Ryan Day has adapted his football team to fit their personnel and to play at a formula that is tough defense, score where we got to score, get the ball to 18, let him dominate when it's time to win. Defense, squeeze the life out of them. They're allowing 11 points a game. So for Ohio State being number one, don't worry about the eye test too much right now. I mean, you can have a conversation about all these teams when it comes to the eye test. But we're sticking to the resume based on what the committee is saying. And so for them to be number one right now, I think that's about right. So to recap it for you, we got Oregon at 6, Washington at 5, Florida State at 4, Michigan at 3, Georgia at 2, and Ohio State at 1. No change right now when it comes to these college football playoff rankings, but make sure you're dialed in right here because when there are changes, I promise you, we will have thoughts on them, we'll have feelings on them, and we will talk about it right here on the Hard Count on the On3 YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Pickell. Hey, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of the Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.